there's definitely a correlation there. What about diet? So I live in Texas and we love fried food. As we discussed before the show, Whataburger is our state restaurant, it seems. And and I look around and sometimes it makes me worry. It's like, man, there's first off lots of people that are, really, really overweight, and you can tell that they're, they don't feel well. But you also start to see lots of children that are overweight. So is it mostly diet? Is it mostly exercise? Can you, how are we going to fix this?
Well, I've spoken to several obesity experts who work with adults, and they seem to agree with me that about 90% of obesity intervention and it's just healthy living involves the diet. And it's only about 5 to 10% that involves physical fitness. But a lot of people spend time in the gym, right, working out and doing all this. And then they really don't focus on eating well. And just think it makes sense, right? It's what you put in your body and calories you put. Certainly exercise is important for your health and your lungs and your blood pressure, things like that. But the bigger component is what you put in your diet. I think that it's important. We call it food deserts, right? So if you're not surrounded by grocery stores or farmers markets or farms just to have access to fresh fruits and you actually aren't exposed to it, it's harder to actually feel like you're going to try it and remember to actually eat it. There's nothing wrong with, having restaurants and fast foods, but that should be an occasional, not something every day. So I encourage, kids that I work with in my nonprofit, we never tell them you have to be on any special diet or join a weight loss program. What we encourage and educate them is about healthy eating, incorporating fruits and vegetables, more fiber, more water, drop the sugary beverages, watching the portion sizes, and then incorporating a family fun, physical activity like brisk walking, 30 to 60 minutes, at least 3 times a week. And so for children, you work with children, whenever you tell them they can't do something, they're more likely to do it. And so it's more important to say, you should try to do this instead of telling them don't do something. And so, it's just a mental kind of philosophy. The other thing I will say about diet and food exposures is in the past, we'll say for children, 8 to 12 exposures of a food is what usually it takes for a child to decide comfortably that whether they're going to eat a food or not for the rest of their life. Nowadays, it seems to be more closer to 30 times. And a lot of that has to do with overstimulation from electronics. And it's affecting the mind and what we see and how we interpret what we're seeing and what we're smelling and tasting and touching. So it's a sensory issue. So we encourage parents to never give up and say, the exposure is not necessarily the child's going to eat that. And exposure is just putting the food in front of them. And that's counted as an exposure. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. And me and my wife, we have a 2.5-year-old boy, and the diet thing is something that we're struggling with. My wife does work in the food industry. She loves food. And we have noticed that his diet, he's 2.5 years old, his diet has, it's narrowing. He's like, oh, I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't want that. Good news is my wife and her family, they do love fruit. Every meal at her parents' house, my wife's parents' house, has fruit at the end of the meal, basically. And that's a great thing. So my son does eat fruit. But what you just said about the exposure, it was kind of a light bulb for me, because that makes perfect sense. He loves fruit. Like I just said, he has the fruit available to him at the end of almost every meal, at home at least. And he loves fruit. So that is such a great tip. So exposure, even if they don't eat it every time, is still important and good.
Mm-hmm. And put it on their plate, put it in front of them, put it at the dinner table, just right in front of them. And you'll find out maybe they won't eat a green apple, they'll eat a red one. Maybe they won't eat a banana, but they'll eat a peach. maybe a nectarine and not a peach, maybe a blueberry, not a strawberry, right? But it's just seeing it. Sometimes it's just the color or touching it and feeling like it's safe. Yeah.
Okay, that is awesome. Thank you so much for that. So my son, he definitely has the fruit thing going for him. He's going to eat fruit. We already know that. What about, the fiber and the veggies? Is there any veggies that is common through kids or for kids that they will eat it, they like it more? Is there any that you know of?
Well, the ones that I have, because I do like meal prep classes for the kids in my program and the parents. And what we found is if you incorporate something a child likes with something they've never tried, they will tend to eventually take it. Let me give you an example. Like this weekend, we did a meal prep class and we gave the families an opportunity to choose like a seasoning packet from a company called Epicure. And one of the packets is mac and cheese. But it's like no preservatives, no dyes, gluten-free, no colors, anything. It's a special kind of mac and cheese powder. And the girl that the girl that I was working with, she loves mac and cheese. But mom went home, she took a picture, she made butternut squash that was roasted. Instead of noodles, she put the mac and cheese seasoning on the butternut squash. And the girl ate it. And she would have never eaten the butternut squash except that there was mac and cheese sauce in it.
Oh, so that's a win.
So that's an example. Another one is like trying to get healthier. So for example, a 3-bean salad, right? If I gave a kid like, here, eat some raw green beans, like, no, I'm not eating no green beans. But we combine 3 different colored beans. So we put a wax yellow bean, a green bean, and a dark red bean. And so the kids are like, oh, I like chili, so I'll eat the dark red beans. Oh, but it's with like green beans, and you know what? Maybe it's okay. So I make like a dressing, like a salad dressing, kind of a vinaigrette. And then I put some mustard in it and I sprinkle it over, let it sit for 2 hours in the fridge to go home. Parents like they ate it all.
Wow.
And this has happened like since 2017. We've used that 3-bean salad in the meal prep and we let them to take it home. And I've never heard back from any parent where the kid didn't eat it. And it's because they like the dressing of the tartness. It kind of cuts on the starchiness of the beans, which some kids may not like. We also find that eating certain vegetables depends on the texture. So for instance, they may not like a very soft, mushy texture of a vegetable, but they may like it raw and crunchy. Some kids may not like the crunchy. They might like it steamed or boiled or roasted or maybe a little breaded and air fried or on the grill. So, finding out like how they like the vegetable, they may not like it the way you're presenting it to them. So you got to figure out. So they may like French fries. Let's make it carrot French fries, right? Or zucchini fries with a little Parmesan on top or a little mozzarella, right? So it's combining ingredients that they considered safe because they love it to something that they would try that is new. And it's just seeing it in a different way.